Hi, I'm Annika. This is Merlin, and welcome back to week 6 of the Puppy Raising Chronicles. Hi, you're not helping. Our weekend started on Saturday, when we did a group class at one of the local airports in Abbotsford. This was a group class to help our students acclimate to the airport environment, talk through with security what to expect when traveling with a service dog going through TSA, and even just working in the environment. This time that we visited, it was pretty quiet, so we luckily had pretty much the entire airport to ourselves to practice leash walking, focus, walking as a group, and settling outside of security. All of the dogs did awesome. Merlin was definitely excited, pulling a little bit on leash as he has been around other dogs, but he settled wonderfully. We got to practice walking past other dogs, and he showed off his settling really nicely when we sat down and talked with security about what to expect. Afterwards, we went to the dog park where we practiced standing outside and watching all the other dogs in the park. While I don't personally believe in using dog parks when it comes to service dogs because there are so many risks associated with it, Merlin and I go and work outside of our local dog park to practice watching other dogs and work on dog-to-dog neutrality. Merlin is a very social dog, as I've mentioned before in previous episodes. So one of these exercises that we do is sitting and watching other dogs play, maybe hearing them bark, them coming up to the fence, and Merlin can look, he can sniff a little bit, but ideally I want him to be staying where I've asked him to sit and stay, watch the dogs, and then check back in with me. If it's a quieter day, we'll work on some leash walking as well, but each day is a little bit different, and I want to make sure I'm setting realistic expectations for Merlin. Monday was a little more exciting as we went into downtown Victoria. I was visiting some students who had traveled from out of town, and we decided to meet up in Victoria for some sessions. This was a great opportunity for Merlin to go on the ferry, to go to new locations, and work around dogs he'd never met before. He's pretty familiar with a lot of my student dogs locally, but meeting other dogs that he hasn't seen before presents a great opportunity to practice that dog neutrality. We showed up a little early because we got a pretty early morning ferry, so this was great as we got to stand outside the Canadian Tire and practice his focus, leash walking, sit, and watching all the different types of traffic that go by. Merlin again was excited, a little bit distracted, and pulling just a little bit on leash at the start of this session. He was able to settle around these other student dogs and regain his focus when we were doing stationary skills, but this is definitely a little bit more of a challenging activity for him than what we normally do. On the boat ride home, we opted to go upstairs and practice walking around on the ferry. This is something that I want to get Merlin accustomed to early on while he's young, and so that he can navigate the different types of ferries. This one was a little smaller than some of the ones we've ridden before, so the stairs were pretty darn steep and the different walkways were pretty narrow as well. We found some elevators to ride, which again probably fit maybe 2 people, so it was pretty snug with me and Merlin. Merlin was a little unsure about these really narrow stairs, as stairs are a work in progress for us, but these ones were very slick, shiny, and probably about as tall as Merlin, if I'm going to be honest. We practiced a lot of walking towards the stairs, then away, and then eventually Merlin was able to walk right up them. Once we were upstairs, we waited around for a little bit, let him lay down, and just watched everything going on around us. There were lots of people, strollers, young kids, and just busy staff members walking around, so this was a great opportunity to practice our settling around lots of distractions. We rode the elevator back down, and Merlin was a champ. We walked right in, he stood and stayed there while we rode down, and then walked right past other people on our way out. Yay, Merlin! Tuesday was a pretty normal day for us. Merlin came to work for a little bit, but after our first session, he was getting pretty tired and a little mouthy. So luckily this day I was in Langley, so I was able to quickly drive home and drop him off for a kennel nap back at the house. While we were at the mall, he got to practice Leave It training with one of his classmates, and we even got to watch some of the FIFA game, hearing all the people cheering really loudly, and see some other service dogs while we were there as well. Yes. Down. Good. Merlin, down. Yes. Later that evening, though, Merlin got to have a nice long sniffy walk on his retractable leash, and he got to see something new: rollerblades. Rollerblades are not something Merlin's seen before, so we weren't entirely sure how he was going to react to this. Some of the dogs we've worked with have been confused and tried to chase the wheels kind of like a ball, and other dogs have just not really cared. Merlin was definitely curious, following my partner around, watching the wheels, but he would just get a yes and a treat every time that he looked at them and continued to move away. He only tripped him up just about once. On this walk, we also got to practice his loose leash walking, something I continue to work on to make sure that no matter the environment, Merlin is able to walk with a nice slacked leash and not be pulling forward, sideways, or wherever his nose desires. This week, he came with me to work like usual on Wednesday and got to be the distraction dog. Although, this week we entered a new exercise into the game of parallel walking, which can also be distracting for Merlin. He did awesome, only getting a little wiggly and distracted about halfway through closer to the end, where at that point he was pretty tired and ready for a good long nap. It's been a great week for Merlin so far, and I am super excited to share some of the other upcoming adventures that we have over the next few weeks. And if you have any questions about Merlin, puppy raising, or service dog training, please let me know and leave a comment down below, and we'll see you next time. Say bye, Merlin!